We are live, baby. Welcome to the Golden Boot Podcast. It's your boy Pooh Bear. All right, let's get started. I got Mr. Ant Petty Murphy,
What's going on?
Mr. Daniel D. Will, and he's itching to say something. Mr.
Did
Blake.
Barry White just open up our show here? What up,
Welcome to
baby?
Welcome to the smooth jams of the Golden Boot.
The quiet storm edition.
Good evening, everybody. It's been a slightly eventful week. A lot is going on. Biggest thing, LSU had its pro day on the 6th. Pro day recap. I'll start with you, Ant. What'd you think? Who'd you like?
Well, I think the obvious answer is going to be Andre Anthony, but I think somebody who made a good impression for the NFL scouts was Jontre Kirkland. He didn't get invited to the combine, but he had some great numbers and showed that he is a great athlete, and he can't kind of sleep on him.
Okay. Dane, what about you? What do you think?
Man, you already know who I like. That boy Stingley. Stingley came, he rocked it. You know what I'm saying? Ran a sub 4.4. You know, coming off a major injury, and jumped 42. Had a 42 vert.
42.
Which is pretty impressive.
No. I'm sorry. Stingley had 38.
38.
Jontre had 42.
Yeah, Jontre
Okay,
had 42.
Jontre had 40. Okay, but we all know he probably would have jumped to 48 if he was healthy. But anyway,
48.
48.
Wow.
I mean, is his name Kobe Bean Bryant? I mean,
his name is
Jesus
Derek
Christ.
Stingley,
I think he jumped 48. I mean,
no, man. But of course, I've seen some footage of his on-field workout, and he looked pretty fluid as always. You know, he's been doing it since he was a toddler. So, kid looked like a natural, man.
Okay. What about you, Blake? Who stood out to you?
I think it's got to be Andre Anthony, right? I mean, you're coming 7 months off an ACL surgery to run a 4.63 40. I mean, guys. I mean, I've had two. Okay, when you're talking, it's one thing with the Liz Frank with Stingley, right? Like, look, we know it's a 2-month recovery. We know what we know. But remember when Adrian Peterson tore his ACL and was back in the league within 6 months, how everybody freaked out? Well, why aren't we freaking out for Andre Anthony? Now, the one thing I will say about Stingley, I think the biggest number we saw this week was Stingley's short shuttle. Guys, a 4.19 leads the entire draft. Yeah, that means his side-to-side lateral movement is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't really care about his 40. Quite honestly, if he runs a 4.5, yeah, okay, chalk it up, whatever. But the simple fact that he's moving laterally, I mean, think about when you're in an athletic stance and you're going side to side, how much pressure you're putting on your foot versus running a straight line. So I thought that the biggest thing was obviously Andre Anthony's 4.63, and then followed by Derek Stingley's short shuttle, in my personal opinion, if we're just talking numbers.
Yep.
And not to mention, Andre Anthony said he only had 1 week of training before he got out there and ran that 40. So that's
he didn't even train for the 40. That's what's crazy. He didn't put any prep time in or anything like most guys do.
So we're gonna get back to this comparison, but I think the person who stood out to me and I think who made the most money for himself is Cordell Flott. Mm-hmm. He looked good in his drills. His 40 time was okay. So it's because it's kind of weird because the 40 time that he posted is better than the official 40 time of Stingley, but which was weird. That whole unofficial official thing with the 40 time with Stingley was really weird. How they did that. Yeah, it is some bias. Listen, I'm gonna represent 251 all day. Shout out to Fly and Neil Ferrell. But yeah, they definitely Fly definitely stood out to me. And Jontre, we posted the legend of Jontre continues. Jontre has so between the bowl game and this pro day, it's just that vert number. I don't know how you cannot love Jontre You know,
Let me say this about John Trey. I got a feeling he's gonna have like a Russell Gage type of career.
Yes. So that was.
Pooh, can I add?
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
Well, I think honestly, John Trey probably should have stayed at cornerback, in my opinion.
I think John Trey should have picked a better coach. Never mind.
Well, let me say this. I think that there's two big storylines, right? The biggest storyline for me is not a positive, okay, but it can be, depending on how you twist it.
Mm-hmm.
The simple fact you don't have an offense or defensive lineman hitting over 30 reps on 225 kind of makes me upset. Okay, when you so look, I know we make fun of Liam Shanahan and we talk about the offensive line. Well, why is your offensive line dominating that drill? Why do they have better 40 times? Why do they have better short shuttle agility? Why is Neil Farrell getting outrun by Austin Deculus?
5'4".
Like, so that would be my question. Now, so when we talk about Tommy Moffitt, God bless him, Hall of Famer, first ballot LSU Hall of Famer. The simple fact you have a center hitting 28 reps, which would have led centers in the NFL Combine, when you have Austin Deculus, who's water than a Mack truck. I mean, look, they have to put an oversized load on his shirt, right? Like, they got to put oversized load on his chest, #pause. Okay, but that's the truth, right? Like, we got to be honest with ourselves. That's why Jacob Flint comes in here. Okay, so I'm a little upset with it, if I'm being honest. But here's another thing that people don't talk about. How often do you go and you work out with somebody to train on a specific drill? So how much more did they get better, right? So did you get 1 or 2 reps better? So you mean to tell me that they would have gotten 20, 25 in that mix, somewhere around there? That's not good enough. So when we get Mike Jones on here and he talks about what Jacob Flint's doing, I think for me, guys, regardless of the times on the pro day, I think the biggest letdown for me was what they did on bench, if I'm being honest.
I completely agree. I had that and I forgot to put it in my notes. Everyone was fast. No one was strong.
Everyone was not fast, sir.
well, look, I think that there comes a different point in time with this, though. Like, we talk about innovation. How quickly can strength and conditioning change from 2019 to 2022, right? So now you have guys running faster in practice. Like, Brian Kelly's talking about, like, screaming at the guys at practice. I want to see Jane Daniels's time when he's running around the left side. Now, I know we'll get into practice, but, guys, he's clocking 19 miles an hour when he's running to the outside from a very stop position, getting to the outside at 19 miles an hour. I don't know about you, but that's moving. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's just the innovation of maybe Tommy took a step back from it, and Jacob Flint's doing better things with it.
Well, I think
I hate to be negative, but Daniel, go ahead.
I think also, I mean, look, how long was Tommy Moffitt with LSU? 20
years, 21 years.
Come on, guys. Can you imagine doing something for 20 years? He over there.
Yeah. Blake's mosquito.
Bruce Lee.
Blake's mosquito has mysteriously found its way to Alabama.
Hey, it came from our studio this week and went over to Mobile. That's what happened.
Hey, I thought it was an orb.
Hey, listen, I don't know what it was, but
pterodactyl.
Jeez, man.
Jeez,
sorry about that, fellas. I'm sorry.
Hey, no, but
fly around here no more.
So I don't know, C King. I think we had better talent than 5'5", but I would say it almost. I mean, you've been doing something for 20 years. You probably get a little lax. The players probably get used to your workouts. They come in, they do the same workouts every day. Nothing is different. So you probably just needed someone to come in and honestly just shake it up a little bit, give them something different.
Yeah, when you're somewhere 20 years. The voice gets stale, the message gets stale, you know what I mean? And it's just like with a head coach, just like with anything else, 20 years at one spot, you don't see that too often. And I think the fact that he did stay here 20 years shows how good of a coach he is, you know what I mean? But I think the timing was up, we had to get a new voice in here, like y'all said, to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about 5 and 5, okay, maybe we didn't have 5-5 talent. We had 5-5 conditioning.
Yeah.
We had 5-5
Yeah.
strength.
We had 5-5. We had 5-5 coaching.
Right.
Right.
I mean, you had 5-5 focus. We talked about this on my show this week, and I would love to get y'all's point on this. Why do I keep hearing the word championship too?
Yeah.
Like they're not playing around with this.
Right.
Like this. Okay, it was cute and fun. It was, we got cute with it in the beginning. Oh, Brian Kelly's here, But now all of a sudden he's like, hey, bro, I kind of want to come and win a natty.
Yeah.
Like F what y'all talking about. I want to come in here and win a natty. Jacob Flint is receiving that. So
just shows where the focus is.
Yeah, and I think it goes along with, something that we've said in the past on our show too. You have to be intentional about it. You don't win a championship by wishing on it. You have to be intentional. The guys got to come in and work. I mean, whenever you're clocking guys on how much, how much energy they're producing, when you're clocking that and how much effort they're putting out, I mean, you have to be intentional about this, So I love it. I love it. Bring it on.
So,
who? What you think?
I have purple glasses, strong purple glasses. I try not to, because I get ahead of myself, and I've been thinking, with Brian Kelly coming in, this is it. This is what we needed. This is going to get us over the hump. We got, not just putting it all on Jaden, but I think we have competent quarterbacks, because for years we were saying we've got the defense. All we need is a competent quarterback. We don't need you to be, Tom Brady. We don't need you to be Aaron Rodgers. We just need you to be able to complete a pass, read the defense. That's all we need you to do and get it there. And I think we finally have that. I know we talk about Miles and we joke about Miles and say, oh, Miles can't get it done, or Miles is going to be on the bench. I think even if we have Miles, it can happen. Yeah. With this coaching staff, I think it can happen.
Well, he certainly has a skill set, right? I mean, Miles has a skill set. Let's just be honest on now that we're not in spaces cutting up and talking about he's been here longer since the Obama administration, but which he has. Okay, but the truth is he has a skill set. Okay, the question will be, how do they utilize that skill set? But Pooh, I know you have this in the notes, and I don't want to get too far ahead or our topics. I mean, Brian Kelly talking about yesterday, hey, who runs the RPO better?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Hello.
Right.
I mean, look, so I think that he's already running a base of what he wants to do. And look, he's not getting in Jamar Cain, Matt House, Robert Steeples, Jamar Cain. He's not getting in their way, right? Like, this is what you talk. Well, this is what you talk about with a CEO head coach. Maybe he says a little something. He kind of jokes with Greg Brooks, like, damn, bro, you gonna break a tackle? John Emery's gonna truck stick you like that? And then he goes.
Yeah, that was nasty.
That's the subtlety that I like to hear, not the, like we're forgetting who he is versus where we were coming from.
All right. Yeah, so I'm sorry, hold on. No, this comment here, John, hold on to that comment, because we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that one. So, but I'm glad that we all saw that, but we're definitely going to talk about that, John.
But back to what you were saying though, Blake, that's kind of what Preston was talking about last week about the autonomy that this staff has. There's no micromanaging, there's no looking over your shoulder. I brought you in here because I know what you're capable of doing, and I'm going to let you do it.
Right.
Well, I think there's something small, Ant, that we didn't talk about last night. Denbrock yelling at Cortez Hankton at practice. Third and 3. Cortez, what you got? Boom, boom, boom. They're in, they're out, completed pass, touchdown. Okay. Look, we saw it in 19. I'm not trying to go there. I mean, that's a different beast. That's a different animal. But him screaming, Cortez, what you got? They get it in. They have, I think, Acock is the kid, number 19, that's calling in the plays. They're getting it in. But here's another thing. They're calling in the plays in these team meetings. You know what I'm not seeing? I'm not seeing offsides from the offense. I'm not seeing them not lining up in the wrong position. I'm not seeing false starts. I'm not seeing a lot of missed assignments.
So you're not saying it takes 40 seconds to get the playoff? Like last year?
No, I'm not.
Right. And look, back to
they've been here 3 weeks, guys.
Right. And back to your 2019 comment, I think also, I mean, a lot of that was Joe. We see that now. But I think I think with this, I think with this team personally, I think that it's more along to do with the coaches. You know, those guys are ready to go. They're professional. They're prepared. They're ready. They're preparing their guys, our guys. So I think a lot of that, that was 2019 was mostly Joe.
Let me tell you. So this reminds me,
like 97%.
yeah. So
This man said, I think it was a little bit of Joe. Come on, bro.
So my son's little league team, flag football team, the whole park, they do like chants and stuff before practice and before stretching and stuff.
What's one of their chants? I'm just
like they'll just do a clap, you know what I'm saying, just a clap, but they have to be on.
Ready.
No, it trust me.
Be ready.
It's more like remember the Titans,
I wish. No.
Hey, if my son football team started doing that, I would be mad.
No,
maybe my child do that.
Hey, he's got what was it, Rev, that comes out the back? Yeah. Hey, Coach, I think we want to come out a little bit more different tonight.
Y'all funny. But no, what I was getting at, what they do, they they'll clap, they'll do that, all hard all day, all hard all day. The thing about it is, even if their clap is off, the coach, will make them stop. He's and do it again. He'll make them stop and do it again, till they get it right. He tells them, we have to work as a unit, and it's that attention to detail, that discipline, that even like going to line up for drills. Hey, we don't move until we hear hut.
Right.
Hey, and if saying if you jump outside, he'll yell go, and if they start moving, give me 5 push-ups. That attention to detail, that discipline is what later on fuels your team to do those championship runs. So, I mean,
when you do that though, that's whenever you start getting players holding each other accountable. You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like sooner or later it rubs off, and the coach doesn't have to say nothing because the team knows what the standard is, and they start holding each other accountable, start calling each other out.
Right.
Well, I heard Brian Kelly telling everybody in the Facebook and YouTube, everybody hit the like and share to some Facebook groups. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That's what I heard Brian Kelly saying about the Gold Boot podcast. If you're on Facebook, share to some Facebook.
And we're saying that Brian Kelly knows what he's talking about, so y'all might want to follow.
I mean, look, this is how you call 500 episodes in. Everybody hit the like button and hit the share. See, there goes Pooh. Look, we're gonna have to move because this mosquito's gonna have to go somewhere else now.
Y'all gonna have to. Yeah, he going back and forth across the top of the screen.
I'm about to go get some sage and light and seance in this thing, but
that's an order, bro.
Hey, well, whatever you doing, never mind.
So one thing about back to Pro Day, one thing that I saw at Pro Day, or that kind of it goes to show the person Brian Kelly is. Jamal Pettigrew was allowed to participate.
Yeah, that's
Pro
cool.
Day with LSU. Cool. And we all know he had his time at LSU prior to Brian Kelly, and then he left. But this isn't the first time we've seen something like this from Brian Kelly. If I'm not mistaken, Malik Zaire, who transferred to Florida, was allowed to come back to Notre Dame. So all these people, he won't fit in. He's not, he doesn't get it and stuff. Look at the type of man he is.
Tell me that's not a Frank Wilson thing. Like, how does that conversation go? Okay, so Frank Wilson's the head coach. Okay, he transfers to Frank Wilson. Hey, Brian. Or hey, Coach Kelly, Jamal Pettigrew was here. McNeese isn't doing a pro day. Can he come here and work out? So here's another question. When Jamal Pettigrew is talking to a kid about LSU in the future, or a kid from Lake Charles, how does that conversation go about Brian Kelly now?
Exactly.
I mean, look, you have an ends to a mean. Okay, and here's another thing. You're giving Frank Wilson autonomy. This is how I think that's going, okay? You got Brian Polian evaluating, Frank Wilson setting the recruiting board, and you got a lot of things going on. Now, I know that we're making a mountain out of a molehill with Jamal Pettigrew, but remember when everybody tried to convince us that he's not allowing players back and he's going to close things off? Yeah. So, well, if he's closing something off, why is he allowing Jamal Pettigrew to work out in front of NFL scouts?
Right.
There's small little details to me that stick up for Brian Kelly more than somebody running a 40 in tights. Like, this isn't Peter Pan. Like, I don't need to see Neil Farrell run his third 40. I like seeing, what else I like seeing? Patrick Queen sitting there hanging out and talking to him the whole time.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Calvin Chason.
Calvin
and-
Chason.
You want to talk about Brian Kelly endearing himself to high school coaches and stuff like that? How do you think the high school coach of Jamal Pettigrew, you know what I mean?
No
It
doubt.
feels like, yeah, even though you left, you know, Brian Kelly still treated you as a part of the family, and he still gave you a chance. So whenever it's coming down to LSU versus another school, that high school coach will have that in the back of his head and say, I know one thing, you know, Brian Kelly will at least take care of you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like stuff like that it goes a long way down the road.
And
No
I would say too. I would say also. I mean, from the outside looking in, whenever Brian Kelly was at Notre Dame, we all thought. I mean, personally, I can't speak for you guys, but I thought Brian Kelly was a jerk. You know what I'm saying? Just from the media
100%.
attention he got and the PR and everything, he didn't have the best PR. But of course, now that he's an LSU guy, of course we love him. You know, because we love our Tigers. But that little thing that he did for Pettigrew, that goes a long way. You know,
Well,
that,
you know
that
what?
shows that
You know
he
what's
has-
funny about that, Daniel, and I know that we'll talk about that from a Notre Dame perspective later.
Yeah.
But when you go and you listen to him, like really listen to him, besides out of a national media like outlet, like when he's talking about, like we all remember in 2020, LSU was faced with it, Black Lives Matter, the marching and stuff like that. Him canceling practice. Well, I say canceling practice, rescheduling practice. Like, hey guys, let's do this. Let's practice at 9 a.m. Okay, everybody will be, you know, ready to go at 12. We practice, shower, everybody gets ready. We march down. We do what we got to do.
Yeah.
That's the kind of small stuff that we didn't see from Brian Kelly versus what Orgeron did in 2020 that obviously separated things inside that locker room.
You
So
can say that was the reason for his downfall, almost.
I mean, yeah, and if
could say that.
and we all praised, you know, to a certain extent the way Saban handled it in the way compared to, you know, how Orgeron handled it. But if you look the way Brian Kelly handled it, it's in that same model of Saban. You know what I mean? So we can't sit up here and say, oh, Saban knows the pulse of his players and, you know, how to control his locker room and, you know, keep his focus on what his players' focus is. Brian Kelly's showing he can do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
I agree.
And we're talking about people being allowed back, coming back, Brian Kelly and everything. Leonard Fournette was back on campus.
Right.
And gave a donation.
Huge. That's huge.
And meeting with the running back. So
Donations.
listen,
Hey, I think that's Frank Wilson too, though. You know what I mean? Like,
you can call it.
oh
Frank
no
Wilson.
doubt,
No.
I'm
I get
just
what you're saying.
You know,
Frank Wilson, Frank Ocean, you know, Frankie Lamar. I'm happy to see everyone's coming back. Because even with Frank Wilson, you know, gathering these players or having them come back, it's still, you know, Brian Kelly's still having to bless off on it. And so, you know, I appreciate him allowing his coaches to coach and to do everything to, you know, welcome those players back.
Did we really think he was going to say no, though? Hey, can you not allow a Super Bowl champion running back on campus? Like, you know?
I mean, look,
we say that
on the Golden Boot podcast, but I mean, like, what did we really think?
I mean, we say that, but look at Les Miles.
That's true. That's true. I mean, the grass-eating son of a gun himself. I mean, yeah, you're right, but I mean,
hey, but look at what Al put up. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Mawai. You know, when is the last time you actually seen him come back to campus?
he refused to come here during Orgeron.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. Because I think he got.
Hey, so what happens now if Brad Davis gets a head coaching job somewhere? Like, what happens now?
You get an NFL offensive line coach to come back to his alma mater.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, he's 50 steps ahead, guys. I mean, like, hey, Kevin, you're a Hall of Famer. Sounds good. Where are you coaching at? Oh, Indianapolis. Oh, hey, your starting left guard is Quentin Nelson. Oh, wait, the guy I developed. Oh, so we have the same philosophy. Oh, yeah, that's right.
I love it.
All right. So
I'm sorry, I get on a tangent, Pooh.
Oh,
you know
no.
how excited I get on a Sunday night on the Lord's Day. I ate some crawfish and some red beans.
What you drinking, Blake? What you drinking over there, dog?
Oh, apple juice.
Apple cider.
I'm drinking a fine Pilsner. This is a very fine Pilsner.
the very finest. Sir,
From Sergio himself.
sir, I do not drink Jameson's. but hey, one thing that came out of pro day, well, it was and we kind of alluded to it. Flott versus Stingley, or Stingley versus Flott, the comparison.
Hey, can we do
you,
something right quick?
damn, you a little excited for that?
I ain't, yeah, they call me messy.
Okay,
I'm
what you
all
got?
about
What you got? What you got missing?
Hey,
Mike?
but put a 1 up in the comments if you for Flock, and put a 2 up if you for Stingley. Go ahead, drop it.
All right, so
Go ahead,
let's talk about this. And Daniel, you're taking the side of Stingley.
Yeah, to go.
So
Hey, hold on. Let him have his moment. Let him have his moment.
we're talking. You're taking the side of Stingley. So the question is, who had the better career at LSU? And a lot of people are putting up, twos, and let's see. So Daniel, I'll let you go first.
Well, I got to go first.
Well, I mean,
No,
you got the.
Nah, look.
I got an uphill battle.
No, you do, because I got a lot of twos in there. But honestly, Stingley. I mean, from the time the kid stepped on campus, he has been an all-star. Of course, we understand that he's been through a lot as far as injury goes. But I mean, guys, his freshman year, kid had 6 interceptions. Could have had more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Freshman All-American, should have been probably SEC Player of the Year, in my opinion. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all probably, I'm gassing him up, but whatever. But but honestly, I mean, okay, so 2020 and 2021 was not impressive at all, right?
Hey, I'm sorry. Why wasn't it impressive?
The man was injured.
So he wasn't available.
You can say that.
Clutch my pearls.
Hey,
Go
but can
ahead. Continue.
Pause. Mega pause, Pooh. I mean, God, dog.
What's your pearls? But anyways, so but yeah, I mean, he was hurt. But of course, we seen what this kid can do whenever he gets time to get fully healthy. He goes out there and runs a 4.4 after having surgery. We all know the kid is probably a whole lot faster than that. And honestly, I want to see. I would wish we could have saw what he would run if he was healthy, 100%. Because I mean, I would love to see it. But look, he's been training to play defensive back since he was a kid.
Gotcha.
He has the lineage. Not only that, I don't think he drops top 5, below 5.
Okay.
Whoa, that's a bold statement there, sir.
Very, very bold.
I said
very
it.
bold. Very loud and wrong, but okay.
I'll go next.
Y'all didn't even happy yet.
I'll go next.
Okay, go ahead.
Come on, Danny girl, don't do that.
I think the answer that most people would say would be Derek Stingley. But I'm gonna go with Cordell Flott simply because like you said, Daniel, Derek Stingley was, he been preparing for cornerback his whole career, and he was the number 1 corner coming in, and everybody knew what he could do. So having the season he had as a freshman, while it was great, it was kind of what we thought his career at LSU would be. And when you see Cordell Flott, who came in really unheralded, I didn't even know Cordell Flott, when he was ranked. Nobody knew who he was coming in as a freshman. But to see him, well, yeah, that's because you're from Alabama. But for him to come in and we always talk about what Derek Stingley did as a freshman, but Flott he made plays as a freshman too, and he was a big part of that championship team on defense as well. And then he also
was a bigger part.
No doubt. But Cardell,
I still don't think Henry Ruggs caught a pass that game.
I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that Daniel, that Stingley was a bigger part, but Cordell Flott was available the next year and actually played more than just one season at LSU. So I think that we always talk about your best ability is availability, and I think that because of that, I got to give it to Cordell Flott.
Yep.
Okay.
Career, I don't know, Daniel, if you can't say career, because when I sit here and I look at the stats, outside of interceptions, Flott has more tackles. He has more tackles for loss. He has the same amount of forced fumbles. He has more pass breakups. He was graded higher in the last 2 years. Pro Football Focus rated him a better corner than Derek Stingley. And quite honestly, look, 2 years are better than one. Okay, like anybody can have one really good year. And I don't want to diminish what Derek Stingley did in 2019 because it did propel LSU to a national title. It did help them get there. However, you have guys like Mississippi State or Dan Blake on here. Surprised hey, bro. But you have guys like I forget Tony Weaver. Put it in the side of the comments. I forget the kid's name from Mississippi State who had
Forbes.
Who had more interceptions and more pick sixes the following year in a COVID year in less games. So, like, what pedestal are we necessarily putting Stingley on? When you talk about a career, like a complete career, Daniel, you got to give, in my opinion, you got to give it to Cordell Flott because the best ability is availability, right? Like that will always be the case. However, what's wild is the 1 year for Stingley is in the comparison of Cordell Flott. So we're just taking 1 year. We're not taking 3. Yeah. But here's another thing. In 2020, when Devonta Smith did what he did against Derek Stingley on live television in the revenge matchup, look, man,
he was hurt.
There was a reason. True. You know who else was? Cordell Flott, who had a rotator cuff that he had to have surgery on. So at what point do we talk about, look, nobody's 100% during the season. But if we're talking about career, I don't know if I might call it a wash at the end because, look, their stats are damn near identical, right? So it's tough for me.
I'll say this: if you're asking who is going to be a better pro, I don't think that that's a question.
They are, Daniel. They're almost identical.
If you're asking who's the better pro, who's going to have the better pro career, then I'm saying Derek Stingley, and I don't think it's close. But if we're talking about what they did at LSU, I think that is debate just because we haven't seen Stingley for 2 years basically.
So
Daniel, he's got more tackles with 98. He has more tackles for loss. He does have 4 less interceptions. He has more pass breakups. He has the same amount of forced fumbles. So the only thing that you're giving Stingley
takeaways
you're giving interceptions. Okay, okay, sounds good. But he doesn't lead in any other statistical category. 0, zilch. He also doesn't have the games played. So I mean, at what point did he? Let me ask this, Daniel. Who was more impactful over a career? Was it Stingley who missed games, or was it Cordell Flott who played the last 26 games?
Stingley.
Stingley was not more impactful the last 26 games. How, Daniel? He missed.
Yeah, exactly. And if he would have been on the field, he would have gave us a better chance.
But that's the hypotheticals, bro. We can't live in a hypothetical world.
He just asked the hypothetical.
Hey, let me ask this: who got beat against UCLA for the game-winning touchdown? Flott or Stingley?
Coach Ogeron.
No.
Hey, Pooh Bear, when you about to go, Pooh Bear? Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, this is the thing. We already know what Pooh Bear finna say. He finna say Cordell.
Oh, Flott. It's Mobile all day.
He got one. About to say that Bama bias coming in.
Hey, listen. Put on them flight glasses or however you want to say it. But no, seriously. Cordell Flott, just the mere fact that he was available and he actually did have impact. The forced fumbles. He had the 1 interception over his career. However, the pass breakups, the tackles for losses, the tackles period, the sheer coverage. I don't know what else to say about it, but this does remind me of another debate I had years prior. Who's a better wide receiver, Odell or Jarvis? Because I mean, in at LSU, Odell was flashier.
Don't do this, Pooh. Don't do this to me. Don't do this.
Give me Jarvis all day.
Jarvis was, and to this day, every time, Jarvis is my favorite wide receiver or one of my favorite players. Just simply because when you needed him, he was there.
Mm-hmm.
Odell made big plays, but he also there were some games where he had drops or whatever, or the fumble against Georgia on the punt return and stuff like that stands out to me. But I it's comparing,
That's a good debate.
great and great. You know, that's you know.
Yeah,
so,
but at that level though, you got to be nitpicky. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
whenever you comparing two people who did, who were greats at LSU, I mean, it's gonna come down to little small things like, oh, he fumbled in this game, or you know what I mean, he dropped this pass, or whatever the case may be.
Man,
Can
Jarvis.
I make the case why Odell is better?
Go ahead.
If we're going to use the same for Cordell Flott, then we have to use the same exact thing for Odell Beckham.
That's
more
fair.
catches, more receiving yards, more touchdowns. He won you the game against Ole Miss. Got you back in the game against Georgia, right? I mean, the touchdown there at the end got you back in there. I mean, look, the plays from the line of scrimmage, he leads him in every statistical category. And for that alone, outside of some smaller things, now at the end, when Odell got nicked up, Jarvis passed him in touchdowns. But then the targets went down for Odell drastically. So where he's averaging 10 targets when Anthony Jennings and things like that, he went down to 2. Those are the smaller things that I would say. But I hate this debate. It's the worst. It's like Justin Jefferson, Jamar.
Hey, let me ask you this question though. Let me ask you this
I got a
question.
better debate for you, Dean. Go ahead.
Hold on, Pooh.
Go ahead, Daniel.
At third down, right? Of course, Matt's our quarterback. Who you
Third
going
and
to?
what? Third and what?
Third and 10. No. Okay, 3rd and 7. 3rd and 7. Who you going to? You going to Jarvis or you going to Odell?
It depends on what the coverage is.
I gotta be honest. I gotta be honest. Me personally, I'm going to Odell.
I'm going to Jarvis.
Hey,
over the middle.
I don't think there's a wrong answer though.
I don't think that there is either. Hey, but here's the thing. What happened? What almost happened to the Rams when Odell went down? Now I know that we're talking the pros.
Yeah.
You cannot take away that explosion, bro. He took a slant round 80. I mean, Jarvis Landry. I mean, the one-handed catches, the return punt for a touchdown against Ole Miss when you're losing. Like, bro, we were losing to stripper calling Hugh Freeze. I mean, like we forget when we were about to get beat by the stripper caller Hugh Freeze, and then he returns a punt ball game. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's just the truth. I mean, people love the truth.
The proper term is exotic dancer.
I can't help myself. Hey,
and those ballet ladies are working their way through school, so I think you shouldn't be so judgmental.
By the way, did I ever tell y'all the story about Hugh Freeze DMing me on Twitter? So I did a Ruffino's rants
exclusive
about seriously, like we could pull it up here. Okay, he DMs me because I go off about how Hugh Freeze can never be allowed back when Orgeron was the head coach. He's like, excuse me, sir. Me and Ed have a very good relationship. I have regretted and repented and asked for forgiveness. So I should be allowed back in the SEC. 3 days later, he's the head coach at Liberty.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
It's fitting that he ended up at Liberty. Never mind. I'm not gonna touch that one. But let me say this, Ryan, you're a liar, and the truth ain't in you. I'm gonna leave it alone about that comment.
Hey, I'm gonna keep it a book.
Thank you, Ryan.
I'm gonna keep it.
I like Flat.
Hey, I'm gonna keep it a book. If Flat got burnt like Eli Apple, then you gotta say the same thing about Derek Stingley going up against Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith killed everybody. Okay?
That's fair.
That's actually not true. If you go look at Christian Fulton versus Devonta Smith, Christian Fulton put that man in a blender. Okay, so there was a reason. Go ahead,
Marvin. I want to say it was 4-4
flat.
Yeah.
Is Fulton better than Stingley? Who has a better?
In my opinion, yes.
Okay.
From a career standpoint, as
That's
of now,
LSU. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can't take away. You can. I mean, like So let me say this: like both of them had iconic plays against Georgia. Remember the Fulton interception against Georgia? Remember to lock down the game, and then against who's the receiver from Georgia? Tall kid.
Pickens.
Okay.
Stingley picks off the slant against.
Yeah.
Right. Like they both have those iconic plays, but Fulton just played more, man, and I just don't think that you can take away 26 games because if I ask you the question right now, Jaden Daniels and Miles Brennan, why?
Because Daniels has played more. He's shown us more.
So again, like at what point do we take one player and then not do it for the other?
Well, I mean, Stingley was a freshman All-American though. That's the thing. He has the pedigree and he has the numbers.
That was 1 year, Daniel. And I get. Listen, the year he had was phenomenal, but it goes back to same thing with did Delpit deserve the Thorpe Award his junior year?
No.
Or did they just give it to him because of his sophomore? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He had a great, and he was good for when he his sophomore year, but it's not.
I only know who's about to go there.
Yeah, I mean,
he's talking because I brought up the Miles Brennan debate. And of course I did. Of course.
All right. So let's get back to current times, current players. Spring practice update.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Mm-hmm.
The John Emery run that we saw today. Jaden Daniels was in at quarterback 1. Mm-hmm. And he handed the ball off to Emery, who looked like he got swallowed up by the line, but then he popped out and ran over somebody who he baptized somebody.
Greg Brooks.
Listen, welcome to.
I taught Emery that, y'all. I did.
Welcome to the Ponderosa. Yeah, he did lean his head in, so I believe you did teach him that.
Go ahead, bro. Finish what you saying.
But that play.
Oh, you got to clip that guy, dog.
That play, it excited me just to see.
Woo! He said,
My bad,
first.
Woo! But no, so that play excited me. It got me going. So
that's
spring practice update. Yeah.
I say this. I'm a rep for my boy Will Campbell. I think he's shown a lot in that. Some of us who counted him out as being able to come in and be a starter right away, I think some of us got to kind of watch what we say, because he's shown that he ain't come here to be a backup.
Yeah, I got to eat my words on that, Ann, a little bit, right? Like I got to eat my words. The only thing I would say though, again in passing, when BJ has 2 sacks against him, like what are we basing it off of one play, right? Like,
yeah,
like again. I would just be very limited to say I think we need to be cautious. However, I will say that I thought that I didn't know if he would physically be ready. I was wrong.
He's ready.
Okay, so physically he is more ready than I anticipated him being.
And BJ Ojulari is
there's anybody on God's green planet that thought that he's not going to live up to the 5-star talent. And we've talked about this in spaces. We know that he would. But when we talk about a day one starter, like it's one of my biggest pet peeves. Okay, well now he's coming and he's kind of shown it, right?
See, my thing about it is, and when you bring up BJ Ojulari, I'm not saying that Will Campbell should be the day one, the starter next year or anything like that. I'm just saying that to those people who thought that it was automatically that he was going to come in red shirt, he needed to develop, get stronger, whatever the case may be. He's shown that he can come in and contribute immediately. Yeah, he might get beat here and there. I mean, it's BJ Ojulari. He's one of the best, defensive ends in the country. And there ain't too many people that won't get beat by BJ Ojulari. But the fact that he's coming in and competing for the starting spot and have Brian Kelly talking about him at the practice and how he's able to kind of shore up the line and they look more competent whenever he's on the field. I think that just shows that he, like I said, he isn't coming in to be a backup.
I just think
he is headed in the right direction.
Yo, that's not funny, bro.
Oh yeah, and hashtag 3-1 great.
It ain't that funny, bro.
Oh, but hey,
and Chris in the comments talking about I got the nerve to wear my hat backwards. All right, Chris. We'll see you later in spaces.
I'm just surprised that I've been on this show this long and y'all haven't talked about how white my hair looks with this Brian Kelly visor on. Look, I got to be honest. I ain't ever worn a visor this long, but I'm doing it for Brian Kelly. I mean, we're just being for real.
In 5 years. So go ahead.
But to your point, I agree with you. I think he is a contributor. So here's the question. We talked about this week on our show. Now we know, and everybody kind of understands when we talked about LSU going for a boundary corner in the portal. I still think that they have to go after a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
How much does that change?
Like how many spots we got left?
We have 3. Well,
2 now. I'll be quiet.
Well, everybody, I would say this. Remember this show, and so now everybody needs to go ahead and hit the like and share because here's some news. They have too, from what they believe. So when we talked about the number one thing that they're going to go get is a boundary corner, obviously we weren't lying. Monday when we had talked about that, Tuesday, Wednesday, that news started breaking. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know about Tyler Steen yet. Now, some people believe that he's leaning towards Bama. But if Will Campbell can shore up one side of that line, and here's the biggest thing from the Will Campbell thing from Brian Kelly. How many times did he talk about Garrett Dellinger going to center? Okay, and so I think that he's talking more about that. He's so worried about that position. Hey, man, I know that you're going to get beat. Just do what you can do because your ability is going to get better through the season. Maybe they can go somewhere else with maybe someone in the portal. Maybe they don't have to go after tackle. Maybe they can go get a tight end.
They need a tight end.
And look, I know y'all going to call me crazy, but what if there's a wide receiver out there that comes in? Now, people will say, hear me out.
Can he play tight end?
We're starting to get, all right. Hey, I'm just going to tell you, we reported this on Monday and it came true. Don't be too shocked if there's somebody that goes in the portal that's a wide receiver that they don't target. Because here's the thing. You got talent there. You got Brian Thomas Jr., you got Malik, you got Jack Besh. Two of those guys go out and you can't move the football. Okay? So Jack Besh gets nicked up, so does Brian Thomas. Maybe, can Kyron Lacy step up? Jane Daniels had two fade passes in the end zone dropped by Kyron Lacy. The chatter this weekend, it's like, God damn, catch the ball in the red zone. Daniel, I'm just telling you, they call me Blake Stradamus. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you, don't be surprised if they don't have to go for tackle. They don't use a position that they can't go and affect the game right now.
Man, I think if you're talking about starting a freshman at one of your tackles, you need a tight end that can help Chip, man. In my opinion.
Yeah, they don't have.
I would just hate.
I
would hate to put that guy on the
great point.
By himself, man. Especially whenever, people hate to say this, but whenever that guy from Alabama come in and he come to your side and they line him up against that freshman, come on, you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, here's going to be the biggest test. If he's giving up 2 sacks against BJ, you're going to see that with a Brian Ray. You're going to see that with Will Anderson. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that though. If he's going to start, he's going to start. Let him know now. Right. Get him prepared now. That's what the spring. Like, hey, bro, I don't know what you're doing in the off season when you're not around us, but do what you got to do. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Go talk to this guy. Go get ready because it's here now.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. Well, there's another big issue that popped up. Well, I say issue, big topic that popped up this week, rather than it had at least Louisiana buzzing. NIL was allowed for LHSAA, the Louisiana High School Athletic Association, basically allowing for high school players to take part in NIL. A lot of people were on both sides. A lot of people were saying that the private schools were basically going to just buy their entire roster. Some people saw it as, hey, it's a good opportunity for kids to, make their money and move on or whatever. But I don't know. What do you guys stand on this one?
Y'all go ahead.
I'll take it. I think like anything, there's pros and cons. I think the pros are someone like, let's take Michaela Williams, the number one player in the country for next year women's basketball. She's able to make money off her likeness. If a business wants to come and give her money to be on an ad or commercial, billboard, whatever the case may be, she doesn't have to turn that down because her amateur status or whatever the case may be. The negative of it is you have schools, like Ryan says, you have schools that they have alumni bases with money to where they can pay for an athlete to move into a district or pay for a car for an athlete to get back and forth from a certain district to come play for them. And I think it's sort of similar to what we've seen with the NCAA NIL, that if you don't have any rules and regulations in place, it can get kind of wild. And I think that's the main thing that worries me, is that the LHSAA has never really known to be, forward thinking in the way they act or anything like that. So I see this being a mess before it becomes actually a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the Wild Wild. I think it will be the Wild Wild. It's kind of like I guess how the NCAA is right now. But I would say, where did it stop? Could we possibly see junior high kids getting NIL deals? I mean, Dylan Moses was pretty highly touted coming out of junior high. So where does this go? But man, you can't hate on a kid for making money because they're a great football player. Just like I brought up the comment the other day in Spaces about if you got a kid that cuts grass, a kid that watches someone's kid, they can make money. Why not let those kids make money also? So.
Go ahead. I need to do this, Pooh. I got to see everybody. I can't go one-on-one like that when we got multiple people. All right. So listen, here's my biggest thing. Okay. I think that this is all for recruiting in LSU. Okay. I really don't think it has anything to do with what's going on in the high school and the split championships and all that. I think that this mainly has to do with LSU and other colleges, because look, with all due respect, and this is why I always personally thought it was a transfer portal rule that was a problem with NIL. So if I wanted to recruit Elias Ricks and I'm in Birmingham, he can just transfer and play immediately. In high school, you can't do that. So the 5-star kid, Sheldon Sampson for Catholic, and God bless him, I'm just using his name, probably the best athlete coming out in this class next year. I mean, I'm just overall athlete. I can't call up Sheldon Sampson and say, hey, AYS is giving you an NIL deal to go to Franklinton, Louisiana to play football. Like, that's not going to pass. So then he wouldn't take it if that's what my ultimate goal would be, right? But I think it's funny that, there are some certain boosters that already have and what's the really talented young lady?
Michaela Williams.
Michaela Williams. She's already on the billboard. Regardless if she's getting paid or not, she's already on there. You mean to tell me, and we can talk about this off the, on our own opinion, you mean to tell me Kim Mulkey didn't go 1-800 call Gordon?
Yeah. I think that's like, I know he said he didn't pay her or anything like that. He just wanted to, congratulate her for her accomplishments and achievements.
And me and Pooh Bear ain't got mosquitoes in our studios either.
But I'm just going off what the man said. But,
I know.
But I think that just like, it's one of those things where he could put a billboard up of her, and the whole city, anybody traveling down I-20, can see it, and she gets nothing from it. Or I could put this billboard up, and I can make sure that she gets some, compensated for it financially, since she's the one who earned this billboard by her play. You get what I'm saying? So
right.
I think
you got to be innovative too. Let me give an example. If A&M's got more money, okay, but they can't do anything inside the state of Louisiana, okay, what stops me from going and getting a high school recruit and signing them to AYS?
Yeah.
What stops me at this point? Okay, so Brian Kelly calls the AYS hotline, bring, hey Big Daddy, I need so and so recruit. Can you go do something? Why wouldn't I do it? Now A&M can't. Now their laws are different. You got to be if you're a business, you got to be a resident inside of the state of Louisiana for more than 5 years. I mean, look, they're playing this perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. The way that they word all this stuff leads me to believe that they're doing this for a college purpose and a college focus more than anything. And quite honestly, as an LSU podcast like you guys are doing right now, look, you're not going to – the cons are what the parents do for the high school students, and I understand that. Okay, but at the same time, are we talking about 2 or 3 parents that are doing something wrong, or are we talking about the parents that will do the things right? Right? Like, and here's another thing. My mom was a single mom. I cut grass in high school. Okay, I would go pick up buggies at Winn-Dixie. What happens if my mom doesn't have to work summer school because I get an NIL deal? Mm-hmm. What if me and my mom can go do something now? This is about me and my family at this point. So you better let me go doing what I got to do too.
I say this too. We've we've seen a lot of the booster, the guy who, whatever you want to call him, he's the guy who acts as the intermediary between the school. He takes them to the camp, he does all that kind of stuff. The handler, or that's the word I was thinking of, but
Barbershop guy.
yeah. Nowadays, what if that family can afford to take that kid to all these camps by themselves because he has an NIL deal, and you don't
Right.
have to rely on that handler guy to take them, and so there is no outside, there's no way you can influence his decision by, hey, I took you to all these camps, so I say you need to go to Ole Miss, or whatever the case may be. The family has the money now to be able to take care of that themselves and eliminate that third party.
And well, let me ask everybody in here: what would have happened if you were 18 and I gave you $5,000? Say, hey, I'm going to give you this, just an NIL deal. Now I want you to go to LSU. I mean, and we're just talking about a measly 5,000. I mean, and 5,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, but
Hey, but
I
what
probably
happened?
would I probably
That
would have
would've
went to LSU.
But that's
Yeah,
but see,
I
that's
I would
my
have bought me
point.
5 pairs of Air Force Ones.
Hey,
Yeah,
it
what's
doesn't
up?
matter if it's Air Force Ones, cheese on honey buns, a lifetime supplies of cheese on honey buns. It doesn't matter at that point. It's innovative, and
Yeah.
you got to be innovative.
Mhm.
I mean, what's stopping Jimbo and them from doing what they're doing?
Right.
So, and Ryan, this comment Ryan put, it always takes me back to the spirit of what the NIL was supposed to be about.
Right.
Kids being able to market themselves and get
And
money.
There was
So,
remember
let's
that there was
keep it a buck. Let's keep it a
you
buck
remember,
though. The people who are upset about this are the people who don't make no money, right? You're 45, 50 years old, you're making $20,000.
it-
You
it's
probably
either
don't want to go, you probably don't want to pick up no side hustles, and you're
it's
hating on
either
an
that
18-year-old kid who got an opportunity to go out and make money off of
it's
the
either
talents that they've been given and that they
it's either
work for.
it's either that or there's people who don't want some of these players to have those opportunities, because we all know everybody doesn't make it to the NFL, you know what I mean? So all of these players getting NIL deals aren't guaranteed to get drafted, but the fact that these kids can get life-changing money and stuff like that before they make it to the NFL, some of these people don't want to see all these players succeed.
Well, and Pooh Bear, you can put Danny's comment back up there for a minute, talking about devil's advocate, talking about the parents. My thing with the parents is this: okay, at the end of the day, okay, at the very end of the day, with all of this, okay, it's worse now when there's no legislation behind it. Guys, we talked about this Jacoby Matthews thing for months, okay, inside Twitter Spaces and a lot of things. We know how that went down. Kid posted an NIL deal on his Instagram literally 30 minutes after he signs with Texas A&M. I mean, look, I was born at night, but not last night.
How is that
Okay,
not a
so-
recruiting violation?
Well, I mean, is it or is it not? I mean, because they don't have legislation over it. So my
can't
point
prove
is
it.
with the parents, if you think it's going to be bad with the NIL deals now, how bad do you think it was going before it was legislated and was all done underneath the table?
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we don't have to stay there long. The Saints had a big trade with the Eagles. In the trade, the Saints now have a number 16, a number 19, both first round, and a number 194 pick that they picked up from the Eagles. The Eagles get a number 18, a number 101, a number 237. My question: with the remaining team needs, you have these 16, 19, and 194. Who are you? Well, what positions are you picking, or is there anybody in particular that you're looking at going to get?
Here would be my question to add on to Pooh's for everybody else. Do they package the first 2 round picks?
God, I swear they better not.
But that's my question. Do they package it to go get Malik, or do they package it to go get Pickett?
They better. I swear they better not, bro. And my thing is this: you have more needs than just quarterback. You know what I mean? You need a receiver. You have questions on the offensive line. If we want to be honest, you have questions on the defensive tackle position behind Onyemata.
Mhm.
You know, you have questions at linebacker behind Demario Davis and Pete Warner. You have safety questions now. You know, you have too many questions to just package those 2 first rounds to move up to get a quarterback. When honestly, Jameis showed last year he can, he could be a pretty solid quarterback when he has the pieces around him. He just got to stay healthy. So if it's me with them 2 first round picks, I'm going offensive line and wide receiver.
Same. I can't argue with you on that one, man. And I mean, I love the defensive tackle from Georgia. I mean,
Yeah,
the kid is a
Jordan
freak.
Davis.
yeah.
Yeah, I love the kid. Um, I kind of wish we can get him, but for sure, we definitely need a wide receiver
I'll
for
say
sure.
this. I'll say
Yeah,
this. If you can get if you can give me Jordan Davis, Chris Olave or Traylon Burks or somebody like that, and then give me an offensive tackle of round 2, I'm perfectly fine with that.
I do
100%.
not want to. I'm gonna be honest with you. I do not want to see another defensive tackle, or defensive end in the first round for the Saints. Me personally.
I agree.
I understand.
That's fair.
I
That's
understand that
fair.
train of thought. I'm just saying. There was a stat. I think Onyemata had like 33 pressures or something like that from the defensive tackle position, and hurries or whatever you want to call it. The other defensive tackles combined had 32. And since we lost Sheldon Rankins, we haven't really had that guy who can push the pocket beside Onyemata, from the D tackle position. So I'm not necessarily saying that they should draft one in the first round, but that is a position that needs to be addressed. And if Jordan Davis is there, I'm okay with them, pulling the trigger on that.
Mhm.
I think no matter what, you got to get a receiver in the first round. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what you do with the other one. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I could care less what you do with the other one.
My,
You know,
let me ask you this, Blake. Are you okay with getting 2 receivers in the first round?
no. I wouldn't. Hell no. I wouldn't do that with my life.
The only reason I'm asking is because like Jameson Williams probably won't be able to play, for majority of this season. So if you get, Chris Olave at 16, and then all of a sudden Jameson Williams is there at 19, and you can get him and stash him, for the end of the year or next season, then do you do that?
No, I say that you go ahead and you take Jameson Williamson then. Like
It's-
whoever
You take him at 16 and just
you
stash
take him
for
at
the
16. If you think that he's the guy, you take him at 16, and then you live with what you got to live with. Because I don't know if the Saints fully believe that they can win a Super Bowl with Jameis Winston. Because if they did believe that, then they wouldn't clear up $30 million to go get Deshaun Watson, right?
Well,
But I mean,
I
we
say this
talking
though.
about Deshaun
I think the
Yeah,
fact,
but you don't clear $65 million worth of cap space and risk every so Daniel, here's the thing that I didn't realize until John Hendricks from Sports Illustrated told me. Did you know that Gail Benson had to come out $31 million last month in signing bonuses just to clear that amount? $31 million. First
She
off,
had it.
holla at me. Look, if I see Gail Benson, I love my wife, but what's up? Okay, let me just throw that out there.
Hey, big head.
I'm doing
Riding
whatever.
at DMs right
I'm
now.
ready to risk it all. But bro, like they literally spent 31 million. Then we're gonna have to go spend another 60 million to go get him within the next 2 years. So then you got $90 million just for one quarterback. Okay.
I'll say
Go ahead.
this though. I agree with what you're saying. You don't do that, unless you think that he can get you a Super Bowl.
We
But I
talking
think
about we talking
I
about
think that
Deshaun
hold on,
Watson.
I think they do kind of believe in Jameis because
Yeah.
this year's quarterback draft isn't great. We all know that, right? But next year's quarterback draft predicts to be a much better.
Monster.
And they gave up a first round pick in next year's draft. You know what I mean? Like if you weren't really sure about Jameis, why wouldn't you keep your first round pick in next year's draft? That way, if you do need a quarterback, you have the ammunition you need to go get a quarterback.
So you bring up an interesting point, and why I think that their second pick is going to be a quarterback or the first one. Okay, I think that they could go quarterback and then they could go wide receiver. I don't know that, but and here's my thing: why do you make the move? But if you're not going to get a quarterback, do you really go after?
I think last year they tried to move up to get
Right.
J.C. Horn, right? Y'all remember that? and they weren't able to, pack it. They didn't have the ammunition they needed to make that move. But I think this year, let's say Chris Olave is who they want, and they feel like they have to move up to like number 11.
Right.
Um, like say they have to move up to number 11 to get them. Well, now they have the ammunition they need to move up to number 11. They don't have to try to. They don't have to try to make a deal on draft night to get that ammunition to move up to number 11. They already have all that stuff. So I don't necessarily think that it shows that they're trying to move up for a quarterback. I think it just shows that they know that they might have to move up to get their guy. So they went ahead and did what they had to do in case they have to move up. They're ready to move up.
Look, all I know is Christian McCaffrey's doo-doo. Christian, you can take that to the bank.
And Amari Cooper is not a top 5 receiver.
No, he's not. Now, look, I'll tell you like this. You guys saw what Jameis can do before he got hurt with pretty much your third string wide receivers. Give him some talented guys along with Michael Thomas with a tackle. The kid is going to be excellent. With Alvin, of course, we don't know how long he's going to be suspended. You know what I'm saying? But still, get him some weapons, and Jameis is going to do work. He's not just a division guy. He's not just a guy who's a quarterback who's going to just manage the team. No, Peyton had to teach him a lesson last year, and now I think he'll be ready. I think he's poised to have a good year.
So, Daniel, I actually agree with you, but agreeing with you and seeing the Saints' actions are two different things, right? Like, meaning, like, if they fully believed in him as much as they say that they do, then why do you sign him? Well, no, you re-signed him because you missed on Deshaun, right? Like, so my question is, if you believed in him so much, what took you so long?
Well, Blake, if you have an opportunity to get Deshaun Watson.
But Daniel, by the time that they could have signed him in the beginning, when free agency opened, they had 2 weeks where they had no idea that Deshaun Watson's criminal case was gonna go away. They had no idea, right?
And supposedly they offered Jameis a contract during like as soon as free agency started, and he kind of turned it down and was like going over other options on the market. And then they went after Deshaun Watson because you remember whenever he visited the Colts, he said he already had he had an offer from the Saints and he turned it down, and whatever the case may be. So I get what you're saying about Deshaun Watson. I think that they offered Jameis and he kind of was like, let me see what else is out there. So they went after Deshaun. Then once Jameis kind of gave them the hold on, the pause. And so I get I get what you're saying though, but I think the main thing we need to focus on here is they have too many needs to move up and draft another quarterback,
especially offensively.
If you want to draft Kenny Pickett or somebody like that in the second round, not Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder or somebody like that in the second round, then that's more understandable to me than moving up, top 10 or top 12 or whatever it takes to get Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett or somebody like that. I think if they do go quarterback, it needs to be in the second or third round.
Man, get that man some weapons and watch him work.
Hey, Tony had a comment in here said, "Do we have to talk about the Saints?" Well, Tony,
we don't want to talk about the Cowboys.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on. I was going to say we were going to talk about blockbuster videos and Hollywood videos and the Cowboys, but we decided talking about the '90s just didn't matter right now.
Damn.
So, yeah, I'll say this too though. Whenever the Cowboys move to Louisiana, then we might think about considering that. But until then, we're gonna keep it with the golden boot.
Child support, Jerry.
Hey, but in other NFL news, the Eagles signed Olympic hurdler Devin Allen to a 3-year deal. He played wide receiver at Oregon, but he is now with the Eagles. Stephon Diggs signed a $104 million contract with the Bills.
Hey, did y'all hear his daughter, by the way, when he signed the contract? So they gave her the microphone, and she looked at the GM and she says, "Tell him to bring me my money."
That's funny.
Tell him to bring me my money. I just thought that was pretty cute, if I got to say so myself.
Brandon Cooks and the Texans agreed to a 2-year contract extension.
That boy got paid.
And unfortunately, the last bit of NFL news, Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins passed away after being struck by a pickup truck in a motor vehicle accident. I think they say he was out for a jog and was struck and killed. He was 25 years old. Rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. Um, I don't think he got the nearly as much credit for I mean the things he did at Ohio State that year. Also, I mean, as LSU fans, if not for Dwayne Haskins, we don't get
Joe
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
but yeah,
And Dwayne Haskins, if you remember, was the first person to greet Joe Burrow when Burrow tore his ACL when they played at the time the football team.
That's correct.
It would seem as if that their relationship ran very deep.
yeah. So, a lot of people have spoken out. There was even his last video. He was out with Najee Harris, and they I mean, just being silly, friendly and stuff, and posted the video. So just rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins.
Shows how fast life, man, how precious life is, bro.
Yeah. Right. All right. This is something we first on the Golden Boot podcast. The Pelicans.
Yes, sir.
Looks like the Pelicans are going to make the playoffs.
Oh, they got the play-in game tomorrow, right?
No, the play-in game. No, the play-in game Tuesday, I believe.
Okay.
Against the Spurs, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
So my question is, Pelicans make the playoff. Do you get Zion healthy to come back and play?
I'll say this.
Zion's questionable for tonight, is he not, Ant?
I was just about to say that. I think the fact that Zion's questionable for tonight is shown, and we've heard the reports of how he's ramping up his practice. He's 5-on-5 now, and he's clear for that, and he's clear for pretty much all basketball activities. And the fact that he's questionable tonight shows me that if they do win these two play-in games, that you could have, because you had to win two play-in games, so that's Tuesday and Wednesday, whatever the case may be. And then so you basically have a week before an actual playoff series would start. So you give him another week, it's very possible that Zion Williamson can make his debut for the Pelicans right whenever they would need him going up against the Suns in the first round of the playoffs. So I think this team is not a team that too many people want to see in the playoffs to begin with. But if they get a guy like Zion Williamson back, even if he isn't 100%, this team is going to be scary.
Yeah, man, all I want to do is see Zion, on the fast break, throw it between the legs off the backboard and just dunk. That's all I want to see. That's all. I ain't never seen a 350-pound power forward dunk the ball like that.
That would be a medium break. I guarantee it wouldn't be a fast one.
It's true.
You ever seen an offensive tackle dunk between the legs?
Hey, y'all gotta chill out there, man. He ain't that big, bro.
Listen, as a plus size gentleman.
Thank you.
That's not fat.
He is not 300 pounds, bro. Nah, he got
a 4-pack.
I gotta stop that, bro.
Hey, I mean, Aaron Donald's got a 6-pack and he's 300 pounds.
You say
that don't mean nothing. I'll say this, and as a fat guy my entire life, I know how you hide fat. Okay, and that man's showing all the signs of how you hide.
You say Zion wearing the girdle?
Nah, I mean, he's saying that because he wear baggy clothes, bro. He's saying he's trying to hide his fat because he's wearing baggy clothes and stuff. But bro, I just put it to you like this: when he get on the court, we're gonna see if he weigh 300 pounds. That's all.
Oh, he don't weigh 300 pounds. Nah, I mean, you're just messing with it. But like, bro, the simple fact that he's doing between the legs dunks at this stage,
right?
Impressive. Right. I mean, because they played. I mean, I thought that they played tonight at 8:30. I guess I was wrong. I thought they played Golden State. Did they not?
They do play Golden State tonight.
Okay, because I can't. For whatever reason, the score wasn't pulling up. But I don't know if you don't find him 10 minutes. Like if he can go, get some kind of cohesiveness tonight before you got to get in that play in.
Right.
That's a good point.
Right. I love to see him play, man. I'm excited. I hope he plays.
A lot of people would love to see him play. The Pelicans would love to see him play as much as they're paying him.
Yeah.
Darius Fingley.
God, no, he went there. He went there.
Uh,
Golly.
but
Woo.
staying in the realm of basketball, LSU basketball, Coach McMahon finalized his staff this week. He brought in Casey Long, who was formerly a assistant at Murray State. He also coached under Will Wade at VCU. He's a Leesville, Louisiana native. Then you got Ronnie Hamilton. He's a assistant coach. He is leaving Ole Miss to join the staff. He primarily coached the guards, and has been regarded as a great recruiter. And led to a top 20 recruiting class for Ole Miss in basketball. So take that for what it's worth. Also, if you look back, he's credited with Schuler, the point guard that was at Ole Miss. He's credited with most developing him. Cody Topper, we talked about him when he was first hired. He was at Memphis with Coach Hardaway, helping the Memphis Tigers. He also coached both the NBA G League Suns and also the NBA Suns. Then you have Tim Kaine, who is the chief of staff. He was formerly at Murray State as well. He was an assistant at Georgia Southern, FAU, Winthrop, and so on. A familiar face that is also returning, Tasman Mitchell. He's the special assistant to the head coach. He's, of course, as we know, former LSU player, and he's been with LSU since 2009. Ronrico White. He is the director of player development. He was formerly for Murray State as well. He played at Chattanooga. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee. And he was an exceptional point guard in his day. Then you've got Jeff Moore. He's the director of recruiting. He's a former Auburn standout. He actually played with Charles Barkley back in the day. He is a former Northwestern State assistant. He is a native of Lake Arthur, Louisiana, and the high school court of Lake Arthur is named after him. Then you have Mike Chapman, who is the video coordinator. He spent the last 4 years with Coach McMahon, and he is a former Florida Gator. I'm questionable on him, just simply because he went to Florida. All right, then you got Brian Puckett. He's the strength and conditioning coach. He spent the last 2 seasons with Coach McMahon at Murray State. He's from Rogersville, Alabama. He was the strength and conditioning coach at North Alabama. He also served as strength and conditioning coach at Gardner Webb. And just personally, the high school that my son is currently at, he was the strength and conditioning coach there as well. So that is the finalized staff so far with Coach McMahon.
That's great. Let's get some more players.
Look like a lot of experience. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean, he did have, some guys that were, that pretty much just followed him from Murray State. But then he went out and got, Coppert, Ronnie Hamilton, and there was one more that stood out. That
I like that he's keeping Tasman. I mean, I know Tasman's not an assistant, but special assistant to the head coach is a very interesting title. Like it's kind of like he knew that he can't come in here and fire him. And then you got Tyrus Thomas at the press conference and he's dapping everybody up. Shout out to Key and Peele on that dap up though at the press conference. But it was very interesting though to see that he said special assistant. That's got to be recruiting related.
Yeah,
because then all of a sudden, I forget the young man's name from New Orleans. What comment did I miss? Oh God.
Disrespectful.
But the young man's name from I think St. James to New Orleans, a top 100 prospect. When LSU offered him, he hinted out that LSU Will Wade never even talked to him.
Right.
So that has Tasman Mitchell written all over it, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about it before. Well, I know we talked about it on the previous episode who stays on the staff, and Tasman Mitchell was the one name that we kind of mentioned that we could possibly see staying. But one thing that every time I think about recruiting classes. The kid that he's at Vanderbilt, I think Jordan Wright. From I think he
Right.
played at Scotlandville as well with um, Smart. Um, think he played there with him, but he was never offered. But I mean, obviously he's an SEC caliber player. I mean,
Man,
why not?
if you
From your
want
back,
to
from your
if you want
background.
to talk about guys who he's missed from Louisiana, we'll be here till midnight tonight, bro.
Mm.
You got
You
a guy.
can't have 4 players from Louisiana playing in the Final Four. You just can't.
Well, I mean, on top of that, like if you look at Texas Tech had a kid on their team from Louisiana. If you look at how many kids who made the tournament and impacted their team that they play for from Louisiana, it's more than just the 4 who made the Final Four. You know what I mean? If you want to, you got Reese Beekman at Virginia. They didn't make the tournament, but he was pretty much one of their best players all season. Like, their list is long, bro, and we'll be here all night if we talk about the guys Will Wade missed. And my thing is, we always talk about how I know football recruiting different than basketball recruiting, but we always talk about the importance of keeping in-state talent when we talk about football. Why don't we have that same mentality when it comes to basketball? Why don't we criticize coaches for losing in-state talent in basketball?
Preach.
Also?
Well, Wade was star chasing too.
Hey, I know we're having an
that.
altar call later. There's no more preaching than what Ant just did.
Yeah. If you and I'll say this, amongst many other sins that she had, the clamoring for Nikki Fargas' job got real loud when the young lady who was on her team transferred to Baylor and led Baylor to a national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Look, can we admit that Will got over publicized? Like Will just does no wrong. Bull BS, bro. Like he did some bad things in recruiting. Look, he missed on a lot of guys and they didn't develop.
Even whenever you got an in-state kid to come here and Jalen Cook, you know what I mean?
It's gonna mess them over.
Process him, you know what I mean? And he goes to Tulane and has a heck of a year at Tulane, and carries them deep in the conference tournament and stuff like that. So I mean, and we always talk about how point guard was a position that hurt LSU all year, and you had an in-state kid at that position who gave you shooting and stuff like that this team lacked, and just let them walk.
You know what's interesting to me, Pooh? I'll let you go on this. You know what's always interesting to me with this transfer portal? Like Pitt Cage went to UTSA today, right? Or yesterday, so we saw that. When we talk about kids and then they go in the portal and then their offers don't match up the way that we talk about them or feel about them, right? Like, so Xavier Penson's leaning towards Mississippi State, and that's some funny stuff. So you mean a team that we are beating, he's leaning to go to that school. So my question would be is how much of a misevaluation did Will Wade have? If you would have asked me from talking to people, Xavier Pension should be Kemba Walker at UConn good. I mean, that's how I felt that we talked about him. Call me crazy, but that's how we talked about him. So now he's going to Mississippi State. That's really funny to me, man.
Yep,
I agree.
Yeah. I was just looking. Ryan asked an interesting question. Is Topper clean from the NCAA allegations? I haven't heard anything with his name mentioned as far as the Memphis stuff.
They wouldn't have hired him.
You can't. I haven't read Memphis's NOA, but you like to what Blake said. When you're going through the stuff you're going through and you're facing the scrutiny and punishment that you're facing, you don't hire a guy who's accused of doing exactly what you're facing.
Let me throw this y'all's way. What if they hired him on purpose because he was the cleanest guy in Memphis? Meaning, there's always, guys, when we talk about these investigations, okay, James Craig taught us something that we don't talk about. So James Craig, when he is firing at LSU, it taught us so many things. You bring in Brad Davis when they had the same type of situation. Brad Davis not only turned himself in, okay, but he got cleared from the NCAA at Arkansas because he took a video of it and sent it to the NCAA his damn self. Okay, right. There's certain things that, okay, well, we have a guy that just did this. Now Brad Davis, Louisiana guy, followed all the protocols and procedures, so that's going to be our new O-line coach. When you do things like that, it shows the NCAA that you're trying to do the right thing. And I wonder if it wasn't, like, hey, there's a reason he didn't get hit at Memphis, but we're trying to do the good things at LSU. which was always an interesting thing to me of why he never got popped in any of that.
Yeah, it could have been a confidential source.
I ain't calling the man a snitch, but if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck,
No,
it ain't a damn turtle.
I'm not
Right?
calling him I'm not calling him a snitch. I'm calling him a confidential source.
Oh well.
Hey guys, do we want to talk about
It's
this one? I know we've talked offline, and I know you read the NOA. Want to give a
I'll give a brief, very brief synopsis of it. I'll just say this: Will Wade for LSU is the one who is being accused of doing things. For Kansas, Bill Self is being accused of knowing about what other people are doing. That is the difference. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so and more, we're waiting on a little bit more to come out, John, before we jump on it. But
do they take the title away from him?
No,
they don't take the title, man.
We could talk about this on another show because there's a lot into that, and I'm gonna just say this: no. And the reason why is because nobody who played for this title is affected by what the allegations are, and I just leave it at that.
Okay.
God, I just want to say though. All right, we'll wait. All
right.
I will say this though, bro, because I think this is what Blake's about to say. As LSU fans, we got to stop with that whataboutism crap. You know what I mean? Like, what about this school? What about that school? Why isn't this school? You know what I mean? Like, we gotta stop acting like we're being picked on and that the NCAA is just after us.
We sound like Miami fans.
LSU screwed up, bro. You know what I mean? Like, point blank, period. Yeah, what we are is the guy who's driving down the road 80 miles an hour in a 60-mile-an-hour zone, and we get pulled over and we tell the police, but there's 6 other people who are doing the same thing. Them 6 other people didn't get caught, bro. Like, we got to focus on what we did and the fact that we got caught.
Well, you know what else too? Very quickly, it's like we all know who the drug dealer is in our neighborhood. We all know who the kingpin is. Okay,
I don't know.
Well,
who is it?
Maybe it's just me then.
No, man.
But we all know who the shot caller is in our neighborhood, or we have a pretty damn good idea who the shot caller is in our neighborhoods. Okay, but knowing something and being caught with a joint bank account are 2 completely different things. Money laundering and covering things up through a joint bank account is something completely different.
Through your wife's bank account.
And
it's a joint.
And the thing about Kansas,
stupid, bro.
The thing about Kansas is the money came from Adidas, and Adidas representatives were accused of paying players to go to Kansas so that they could Adidas could have an inside track on signing them to shoe deals once they left Kansas. And Bill Self is accused of knowing about this and basically telling them what players to go after and all this kind of stuff. There's a lot difference. That's a lot different than Will Wade taking money out of his personal bank account to pay players, or taking money out of his personal bank account to pay the fiance of a player, or whatever the case may be, bro.
Yeah. Ryan, Chris is not a rat.
Y'all boys funny.
He put cheese on everything.
On this funny bun.
Guess what, guys? We gonna talk some baseball.
Baseball.
Right. So the LSU
what about
baseball
Alex
team.
Milazzo? Blake.
So LSU picked up a midweek win over Grambling. They pretty much steamrolled Grambling. I think when I first started watching, it was a tie game. And
Grambling struck first. Grambling struck first, and then LSU struck often after that.
Yes, and it was not close. Then we entered this weekend's Mississippi State series.
Yes,
I don't know how you. I know you watched, Blake. I know you watched, Daniel. I know you really. No,
no.
Yeah. I don't know how y'all felt about going into the series. How it would go. I was thinking 2 wins, and then okay.
I was thinking it'd be a good weekend if we wanted to,
and
get to 500.
And we posted. There was a broom sale in Starkville, and it was a lot of sweep. It was a sweep. So the game LSU rallied in the 9th in game 1 to win 5-2.
Shout out Trey Morgan.
Yes, sir.
Dog.
In game two, Blake Money got hit early, gave up 3 runs. LSU struck back, and the bullpen was solid and shut things down, and they ended up winning 4-3. Gervais coming out of as the closer is
always trust an Italian closer.
He was
always trust an Italian to get the job done.
He was he was lights out for real.
Yeah. And then today, Dutton got hit early, gave up a solo home run early. And then LSU came back, scored. Mississippi State. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this.
I'm trying.
It was a. I don't know if they were raising money, but it was a lot of walking going on, and they gave up a lot of walks, and LSU made them pay.
Well, and LSU didn't give up any today. Okay,
Yeah.
so completely two tails and halves. So Zach from the Tigers Avenue podcast, who produces our show, LSU's now 16-2 when they commit 1 error or less, and now 7-7. Actually, now 8-7 when they commit 2 errors or more. It's a tale of 2 seasons, but they're finding their stride, man. I mean, you just roughed up the national champion on their home field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and look, you know Trey Morgan, biggest hit of the season. That is a game-altering change of a season. Yeah. You know, like y'all remember when Trey Waters hit that 3 against Arkansas in the corner, and then they go into the Sweet 16. Like you completely change your entire season. It's that level. It's Joe Burrow's first down versus Alabama. Like it's a game. It's a season-altering.
That 3rd-17 pass.
3rd-7. It's season-altering. You got to give Trey Morgan all the credit. Here's something interesting. They didn't wear the Sunday golds today, something that they've done on the road. They wore all grays. Look, baseball's a superstitious sport. I'm superstitious my damn self. You know, like if I'm having a good month with my wife, I'm going to wear the same draws. I'm just joking. It's a joke. Guys, it's a joke. I'm just messing. But you know what I'm saying? Like
nasty.
Big weekend for the Tigers. That's for sure.
Go
ahead.
If things are going good with your wife, you might not need to wear no draws, but that's a different story.
But my boy Carl
announcement
Dunn,
coming soon.
My boy Carl Dunn just said what I was going to say.
The freshman,
those freshmen, bro. You got Pearson and Stevenson today who came in both. I mean, Stevenson with a timely bunt, and then Pearson with the 3-run bomb to kind of put the game out of reach. I think we always talk about playing some of these younger guys and like, why did you pull this guy in this situation? You know, why did you let this guy come up to bat at this situation? Well, there was a time last weekend series where Pearson made they walked the guy before Pearson, and Pearson came in and hit the single to take the lead.
That's right.
That at bat right there kind of gave Jay Johnson the confidence to put him in as a starter, you know, in the weekend series on the road at Duty Noble, and then Pearson comes up and hits a 3-run bomb to reward him for that. So I think whenever you put, just like we talk about with any sport, when you give young guys a chance and you show them that you have confidence in them, it pays off down the road, and you never know when that timely hit or that timely out is going to come. And Pearson had his moment this weekend, I think, and we got a bright future with these young outfielders.
I gotta say this. I'm mad at Grambling. Okay, #HBCU hour. The simple fact I don't have a hat with a red bill with a G on it, it pisses me off. Shame on Grambling for not allowing me to spend all the money in my bank account for that hat. For that reason alone, they deserve to lose Tuesday night just because I don't have my damn hat. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Just because I don't want Title IX to come after us. The ladies softball Tigers, they took 2 out of 3 against Texas A&M this weekend.
This man said Title IX, like our name is Sharon Lewis.
It was close games. It was 2-1 game 1, 11-8 game 2, and then today they lost 4-5.
Hey, I'm going to throw out an interesting wrinkle to all 3 of you. We have 5 brand new coaches under Scott Woodward. 1, Kim Mulkey, the coach of the year. Jay Johnson.
I know what you're going. Okay.
Just got a sweep against Mississippi State. Brian Kelly, man, Beth Torina might look. She better keep both eyes behind her back because Scott Woodward's on a cutting spree. Do y'all think he makes a move? Look, he's trying to leave a legacy. You got the coach of the year with your first hire, Pooh. I
say
mean,
yes because you asking that question.
Well, no. Here's the thing. There's two major sports at LSU. When I say major, two major sports at LSU that he has not hired for, and that's softball and gymnastics.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say this. I get where you're going at, but when you talk and you mention the word legacy, right? When you look back at it and you think about a legacy of an athletic director, you think about, baseball, football, basketball, and women's basketball, right? Like at LSU, you know what I mean? Like those are the sports. We don't really talk about softball, you know what I mean? We don't really. So because of that, I don't like if it was like if LSU had been a power like Oklahoma or UCLA in softball, you know what I mean? Then I think that would be a different situation when we're talking about the softball program. But because it's one of those back burner type programs at LSU, I don't think that he's as worried about that as he would be if it were a money making program.
I agree, but I think it's
gymnastics to me would be the one before softball.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. Pooh, I knew you were about to say something. Pooh, what were you gonna add on?
No. That was it. Just about as far as gymnastics and softball. I don't think. I think Beth Torino does enough to keep herself as a employed.
She keeps herself relevant enough. She's not losing enough.
She's not. She's not. And then when we look at
she also has a young team too.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
I just gotta say this though. I seen this comment right here from AP that you just put up there, Pooh Bear, talking about.
Well,
he must wasn't meant for him to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yo, Blake's wife came in and cut the camera off.
What happened was the Lord did not want me to say what I was about women's volleyball coach. For that reason alone, I'm out. But if y'all want to talk about her, just let you know.
Yeah, we're gonna pass that up. So quick hitter. I know we don't. So I had a question. It's two questions that we can close the show off and then get to altar call. Tiger Woods returned to golf and to the Masters. I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this. Tiger, whether he's in there for the championship or not, I think he's good for the sport.
No doubt.
What other people or teams?
I know where you're going with this.
If they're there, they make the sport better.
Serena Williams.
Floyd Money Mayweather.
I'm gonna say. So
I don't think that there's anybody bigger than Tiger for their sport. I think Ant's onto something though in reference to Serena.
Yeah.
For their individualized sport, I'm going to throw one out small. I think Conor McGregor. Okay, McGregor changed the UFC forever, and I think Floyd can be there too.
Yeah. I got a name, but nobody ever rings it up because it's a sport that we don't care about. When Lance Armstrong was at the top of his game, bro, he was that sport though, bro.
I love cycling.
Like, and we don't really watch the Tour de France and all that over here. But like when you talk about like impact on the sport, like Lance Armstrong's up there with all of them.
Yeah. I can give you that.
Hey, but if I ever see Lance Armstrong, I'm slapping him in the face because I cannot believe.
Whoa, Will Smith, slow down. What's wrong,
bro? He had us buying those wristbands and he was lying.
Oh, that's true.
That was so disrespectful. I had like 5 of them. Like,
I don't know, Daniel. I mean, to live strong to beat cancer, though. I mean,
like I get what you're saying. He's a terrible person. He's a terrible person, but the live strong, what it stood for was great.
No, it was great message.
Die the hero or live long enough to be the villain. Okay.
We're gonna hey, that's gonna be the quote for this show apparently because we bring it up almost every episode.
AD brings up a good one.
Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt.
Yes.
I got true, but I gotta disagree because that's every 4-year sport. Like
not only just that,
we
but
watch.
Not only just that though, bro, but like for you got like for American, you know what I mean? Like Usain Bolt was great, but like Tyson Gay, and if you want to go further back to like Michael Johnson, all them names, you know what I mean? Like that really wasn't a sport that we never really knew anybody. You know what I mean? Like that, like there was already names, and Usain just kind of took it to another level. But without golf, without Tiger, what is golf? You know what I mean? Like.
Well, and I gotta say this. Then, if you're gonna say Usain Bolt, I'll give you one more than Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps, correct.
Right.
I would also say Skylar Diggins.
You said Skylar Diggins?
Yeah, Skylar Diggins.
I gotta be honest, Dan. If
I'm not. I want to say something.
I do too, dog. But I'm not.
I can't say what I want to say out of respect.
I want to, but I'm not going to do it, dog.
Hey, in reference to Serena, okay, I don't mean this in a wrong way. There's more eyeballs this weekend on Tiger, even though they know that he's not going to win than Serena.
That's true. Well, but see that's when I bring up this part of it. You have a male sport versus a women's sport.
I agree.
And the women's numbers will always be a little lower than the men's numbers. You know what I mean?
I think the biggest difference, and Carl brings up, it's the story about the accident and how long he was out.
Both accidents, if we want to be honest with you know what I mean? Because he's already made one comeback. And the fact that when he won the Masters a few years ago, that was the story. He won the Masters and they had a comeback. Now he's making a whole comeback
with a torn ACL.
Yeah, he's making a whole nother comeback.
Hey,
with
there's nothing more fearful in all of sport right now currently than when Tiger Woods puts on the black hat, red polo, and black pants.
Oh man,
there's nothing more fearful.
And he's 2 shots back from the lead. Yeah. Going down the back nine.
He started the morning because I woke up and look, I don't like waking up early on Sundays. He started all hot. I mean, super hot. I think he birdied the second hole, and I'm telling my wife, like, here comes Tiger. He about to get this. Here he comes. He bogeys the third hole, and I'm like,
I say this though. I would say this. Hold on. I would say this though. If you look where he was last week, and look where he's at right now, majority of the golf experts were like, well, it'd be good if he just makes the cut. You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff. Like
they said it would be good, and if he got it through 18 holes.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that he made the cut and was able to compete all weekend, you give him another year. We'll be singing a different tune next year at Augusta.
All right. So let me transition now because that leads to the next. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been in Augusta, the city of Augusta, when it's Masters time. That place changes completely.
Well, you know something, Pooh, that I didn't know about that.
What's that?
They just tweeted out the bars open. Okay, so something that I just learned this weekend is they throw a massive party with like 3,000 people. Now I don't know about y'all, but alcohol, Tiger Woods, and winning sounds like a good damn time to me. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Ain't no doubt.
I mean, you got Tiger. I don't know how many black people they're gonna have at their event, but I mean, I don't know.
That's hold on, bro. You need to watch more golf, bro. There's more black golfers.
There's a lot more. You're right.
I'm joking. I'm almost ashamed to admit this, but for the longest, I thought DJ Singh was a black dude.
I mean, he's African.
No, he's
like Costa Rican.
Yeah, he's something different.
I didn't know. I lived anyway. But anyway,
the finest girlfriend in sports history. By the way, y'all need to go Google that. That man had a different woman by his side every week. I mean, Playboy.
What? Back to what we were going about, Augusta and stuff. What is your bucket list sporting event?
See, I would say the Masters, just because it's the pageantry of the event and all of that kind of stuff that goes along with it, and it's a spectacle and all that. But since it happens every year, I'm gonna go with the Olympics.
That's a good one. That's a good one. For me, I'm going to throw everybody off the wall with this one. FIFA World Cup.
That's another good one. Yeah.
So I went to Thailand for 3 months, and I never experienced football like I did in a different country. Germany played Italy that year. Shout out to the Italians. I just their passion for it, I think rivals American football. I would love to.
It might be more extreme.
It might
honestly.
be. It might be. I would, because I've been to a lot of them at this point. Super Bowl, national championship game, College World Series. With that being said, I think there's nothing better than Omaha though. Like if somebody told me, Blake, right now, if LSU winning a natty and football versus winning a College World Series, where would you go? I would honestly pick Omaha. Okay, it's just a different experience. It's completely wild. But I think for me, FIFA World Cup.
Okay, for me, I'm gonna probably throw you guys off the rocker. I want to go to a moment. I know that's weird, right? I would want to go get in my little time space machine. I want to go back to the Malice in the Palace. I'd love to go to that event.
So messy. God, this man.
I don't care about going to Super Bowl.
I bet you would throw the
Okay,
beer.
so of all events, let me ask you this. So do of all, like, what's so particular about that event? Is it because it was like the fan on athlete experience, or whatever, the athlete on fan, or is it just the fact that that kind of changed everything?
God, it's so messy.
I mean, it's just the fact that you got what's the dude name with the bald head? I mean, not with the bald, with the afro.
Ben Wallace.
Yeah, Ben Wallace about to square up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I would have loved to see that. That to me, that would have been pretty enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? Like people getting
Speaking of fighting, have anybody in here been to like a boxing or UFC event?
That was actually one of my. That was going to be one of my. It's either going to be either a UFC event, or Game 7 of
a World Series.
NBA Finals. NBA.
That would be dope.
The only reason I wouldn't want to go to any other game in the NBA, like NBA, first of all, it's you never know, but a Game 7, So,
hey, is there any, Pooh, to your point on this question, is there any worse feeling from an announcer standpoint than your boy from ESPN when somebody hits a three and he goes bang, like when Curry hits a three? There's no bigger dagger from an announcer in sports when old boy says bang, and I'm like, God dang, there goes Steph Curry again. Yeah. I don't think that there's a bigger call than that. Yeah. Y'all agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Let me ask y'all this, because I know it's not like, it's more in the sports entertainment realm, but anybody ever been or want to go to like WrestleMania or anything like one of them events?
I actually was going to go one year. It was my son's birthday fell on it. He was a big wrestling fan, but military service call, and that's the only reason. It was when it was in New Orleans one year. It was like it fell perfectly on his birthday, man.
I've always heard, like, even if you aren't the biggest wrestling fan, like that, just that event, you know what I mean? With it's like one of them things where you need to be there to experience it.
I would only do it if I could see Booker T and Goldberg. That's it. If they came back out,
you talking about the 5-time champion? The 5-time champion.
That'll be the only reason why I want to go.
Hey, so we took a good buddy Ty Kepper. We took his brother Kyle, who was like 7 or 8 at the time, to a Hell in the Cell, Mark Henry versus John Cena. Bro, I'm 24. I'm a couple of beers in. I stand up, little kids and all in the row in front of me. I get up and start screaming, "Let's go, Cena!" And this little kid, can't be 6 years old, turns around and goes, "Cena sucks." Probably the best event that I'd ever been to. So me and my wife, okay, we're going on our honeymoon. Okay, we're leaving out of New Orleans. They just did the WrestleMania at in New Orleans. Okay, it was like April 6th, April 7th.
Yeah.
The entire airport was full of nothing but wrestling fans. Some dude put a table out in front of the airport and he RKO'd him like Randy Orton in front of the airport. And me and my wife are just like sitting there like, what? At 5 o'clock in the morning, what the hell just goes on? Pins him. Somebody goes, 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, Megan, I'm about to shoot somebody in the face. Had no idea that before.
Now, Blake, now that is fake, right? Imagine the Malice in the Palace, bro.
Oh my God.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Hey, when I had a 6-year-old turn around to me and say, when I say, let's go Cena, and he goes, Cena sucks. I'm like, first off, I'll slap the taste out your mouth like my name's Will Smith. I mean, let's go Cena. But if y'all want to know, Mark Henry DDT'd him or whatever you call that move, and Cena lost.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
on that note,
all right. Let's
Pooh
move on to
with my long stories. I get it, Pooh. I get it.
Hey, Pooh always do that. Well, okay. You know it's time to wrap up.
Okay.
Well, okay.
So moving on.
All right.
See,
Moving
all right.
on. All right.
With his
Moving
Barry
on.
White sounding voice. Hey, I ain't gonna lie, that scared the absolute dog bejesus out of me. I had no idea what just happened. Scared the shit.
All right. All right. So we now to our favorite segment, Altar Call. Mr. Blake, as our guest, we'll let you go first.
I received my time for Aunt Marshall to go first.
All right. Well,
because it feeds mine, feeds off of his.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Well, Notre Dame fans and media, you know what time it is. We need you to the front of the church for the altar call. Brian Kelly had an interview this week where he pretty much talked about his time at Notre Dame and why he decided to come to LSU. And he spoke about, facilities at LSU and the recruiting advantages he has at LSU, being able to just hop in a car and drive 5 hours and being able to see, tons of top talent in the country compared to what he had around him at Notre Dame. And Notre Dame fans took that interview and they cried and they cried and they cried. And it's Notre Dame fans and media, they're at the point to where it's like whenever their girlfriend left them and they found someone new who they claim is so much better than their ex. But everything that their ex does drives them crazy for some reason. If you're so much happier with Marcus Freeman, then why are you worried about Brian Kelly and LSU?
All right, so mine goes to the recruiting services. If you saw the great Deion Sanders this week, Deion Sanders talked about in a podcast that if he wanted one of his recruits to be a 4-star, 5-star recruit, maybe not a 5-star, but a 4-star recruit, he was like, he would go Morris Bart and make one phone call, and that's all. I have a very big issue with that, because why is it that a head coach can call a recruiting service and say for their kid to be a 4-star? Here's the biggest issue. What if a head coach calls somebody and says that they want a kid to be lower rated than highly rated, when you can make a kid go underneath the radar, maybe look like nobody wants him, and then you take a kid? This whole game of recruiting is very sick and naive and stupid at times on how you do things. First and foremost, there's no reason why Aaron Anderson, the 5-star wide receiver from the state of Louisiana, who went from a 3-star to a 5-star to when he committed to Alabama, has no reason of being number one player in the state, even though you boys truly had him the number one player in the state at that position. I digress. But there's so much naive stuff in recruiting, and this can go to not just LSU fans, by the way, but to all fans. Stop looking at the damn star rating. Stop looking at it. You got to be able to break down what's going on. Now, you'll get your 5 stars like a Will Campbell, Walker Howard, etc. But star ratings don't mean anything. As the 2015 recruiting class, when none of the 32 that were a 5-star got into the draft just this past season. So I digress. That's my altar call.
We mentioned earlier about the passing of Dwayne Haskins, and after his passing, Adam Schefter tweeted out, Dwayne Haskins, a standout at Ohio State, before struggling to catch on with Washington and Pittsburgh in the NFL, died this morning when he got hit by a car in South Florida. Per his agent, Cedric Saunders, Haskins would have been 25 years old on May 3rd. Now, when this first came out, I don't think that Mr. Schefter was being disingenuous. I mean, was being malicious in his writings. But why do you have to throw his failings on the field out when you're talking about his loss of life? Adam, I respect you wholeheartedly, but that was trash. You got to do better.
Yeah, Gil Brandon, please come to the altar. Hey, Pooh, play it. Go ahead, play that video, please.
The young man a little bit, but also from a scouting standpoint, you analyzed him over the years at Ohio State and coming into league with the Washington Commanders and then going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, it's a terrible tragedy, and what wanted your thoughts on that, and also on the player because you did chronicle his career very closely.
Well, Dan, I hate anytime anybody is killed or anybody dies. But he was a guy that was living to be dead, so to speak. They told him don't, under any circumstances, leave school early. You just don't have the work habits. You don't have this. You don't have that. What did he do? Left school early. I always can remember this. We invited players to the draft, and he was one of the players we invited to the draft. And we were told, no, we're going to have our own party. His own party was a party at the bowling alley, charged him $50 to get into the bowling alley for his party. It was always something, It's one of those things. I'm never offside, but they keep calling me for offside. Is what it is. So, it's a tragic thing. Anytime anybody dies, it's tragic. And especially when you're 24 years old and you got your whole life ahead of you. But maybe if he'd have stayed in school a year, he wouldn't do silly things. I mean, when you're jogging on a highway, on a road like that, that leaves it open because I tell you, guy has 2 drinks and he's just a little bit to the right side of the road and gets hit and killed. It's easy to happen.
Yeah.
How insensitive can you be, Gil? Seriously. To me, and this kid is 24 years old. This goes back to the topic of, how athletes are viewed. How does Gil view Dwayne Haskins? Is he just a guy that's there just to entertain him? No, Dwayne was a 24-year-old person. He was somebody's son. He was somebody's brother. He was somebody's family member. And the only thing that you can think about is him throwing a party at a bowling alley and you being disgusted. I mean, honestly, that breaks my heart. I feel for this kid. I feel for his family. His life being cut so short. And the last thing that anybody wants to hear is some guy coming up and talking that way about somebody who, from all purposes, looked like he was a great kid, made some mistakes, and it happens. He was 24 years old. But, Gil, you should be ashamed of yourself, man. Honestly.
Yeah.
That just goes to show, man, that some people will never see athletes for anything other than entertainment, bro. Like, you mentioned he's a son. He's actually a father. He's a husband, or about to be a husband. So, I mean,
Wow.
you can't take away the person, bro. Like, what I mean, behind all the accolades, behind all the what they do on the field and off the field, that's their job, bro. You know what I mean? But that's not who they are. At the end of the day, they are a person. And whenever you forget to, whenever you forget to look at them as a person, bro, you're doing a disservice. And honestly, it's we call out media for doing all kind of things, bro, but that right there, that man doesn't deserve to be in the media. That man doesn't deserve to be able to talk about football whenever he talks about a human life like that.
I mean, I don't know. We talked about this last night to some extent. Okay. Um, I think that we have a duty as people, not Americans, not um, I don't know, man. I grew up in a football locker room um, with majority of people that did not look like me. Okay. My father was a mayor of a town that was 90% African American. I didn't grow up with people around that looked like me that was around me. Why did it matter? It never mattered. And I think that when we come to a point where he's talking about stuff like that, like you three individual men are closer, or one of probably guys that I've grown a relationship with. And I would say, guys, we talk every day. We're close. Okay. Why does it why can't you be my friend, a close friend of mine? I think that he said some things that outlandish. He does, and you said that he doesn't deserve to be a part of media. Quite honestly, he doesn't deserve to be a part of anything. Right?
Yeah.
Like
they need that gold jacket in that picture that he was wearing.
take it off.
Take it off of him. Take it off of him.
Earn
Because whenever you don't make a stand like that, whenever somebody does something like this, then you're showing that you're okay with what he said. You know what I mean? And so
Well, you have
if you
no
don't, if you
idea why he's on the side of the road.
yeah, like whenever the NFL or the Hall of Fame or whoever, whenever you don't come out and make a stand against this type of behavior, you're complacent with it. You know what I mean? So NFL, I'm gonna call you out. Do the right thing.
Right.
Y'all just don't know how many people I've seen, and I'm pretty sure y'all have in my neighborhood while I'm driving, where they're out running at night or early mornings or anything. It should never be their fault if they get hit, unless they're running in the middle of the street. But
He's on the side and you blame him.
I don't get
Terrible.
something.
But
But
honestly, bro, with that type of mentality, he would have blamed Dwayne Haskins if Dwayne Haskins, passed away in his sleep, bro. You know what I mean? Like with that type of mentality, he had a bone to pick with Dwayne. It wasn't about how he passed
What
away
is
or anything like that. That was attack at Dwayne Haskins' person
No
and at his character.
what is charging $15 at a bowling alley got anything to do with
Nothing,
it?
nothing, bro. It's just he's just trying to attack that man's character any way he can. And it's sad.
sounds
That man is
sounds
that
like
man is
NIL to me.
that man is gone, bro. That man is passed away, and all you can do is worry about what he did 4 or 5 years ago. It's trash, bro.
Well, and it's a lot like
Trash.
it's a lot like Schefter, but I don't think Schefter. It was the opposite a little bit. I don't think he was trying to do anything
Right. I don't think his words were just poor.
malicious.
Yeah, they were just poor
And,
choice,
and
choice of words.
Schefter was a tweet, so I mean, honestly, we can only get the tone that we choose to have off a tweet. You know what I mean? But we heard audio of what this man said. We heard the intentions in his voice. You know what I mean? We heard all of that. And as bad as Schefter, his comments were, and they were kind of disingenuous, but they weren't malicious, like you said. And what Gil Brandt did, bro, that was an assassination of someone's character.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
People fear. We talked about this last night.
yeah.
Yep. People
People
fear what
fear
they
what
don't
they
know.
don't understand,
Right.
and they always will. The people that want to understand something, or even if they don't ever get it, okay, at least they're trying.
Correct.
Okay, at least they want to know how they can better themselves to try. He
That's the
doesn't
first
give
step.
he doesn't give two rips. Screw that dude.
Exactly.
His grits, oatmeal having eaten ass. I mean, with all due respect, let's talk about his character. Oatmeal having ass.
Yeah, but
Pigs wearing
I'll just say this: there was a former Cowboy player that passed away yesterday, and he made a tweet about it, and he talked about how great of a man he was and all these kind of things. And with all due respect, Gil Brandt, you could have had that same type of energy toward Dwayne Haskins. And
I
I'll just leave
hope
it at
I
that.
hope the Pens pulls his sponsorship.
Oh snap!
But with that, on that note, thank you, Blake, for coming on.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Blake.
We appreciate
you, bro.
having you
I
on.
love Insure. He sounds like old dude from Family Guy. I love Insure. Chris.
All right. And on that note, thank you everybody for listening. We'll be back. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot.